Hi, this is John Grant with the REI Policy Institute. I wanted to take this week to talk about something that came across my desk a couple days ago. There are activists in San Francisco who are working on a proposal that would essentially put a capital gains tax on all home sales. This is something that obviously would deeply affect the investor community, and I wanted to take some time to talk about it, both in terms of a little bit of the merit of it and also the strategy that we should look at in terms of how do you fight stuff like this, and how do we often talk about bad legislation, bad regulations, a little bit of insight as to how they originate. This is pretty interesting. The thrust of it is that they want to do a cap gains tax on all home sales in order to fund affordable housing. So it's this progressive notion, and it's done essentially through what I call moral blackmail, which is if you're opposed to this new tax, you don't care about affordable housing, you don't care about poor people, and you want people to be sleeping in the streets. That's kind of how they argue it. There's a couple points to that. First of all, we already pay taxes to go into affordable housing, so I don't really see why we need more. Secondly, San Francisco is an interesting example. Their way of handling the bulk of poor people in their city is to price them out of the city and send them to Oakland. So San Francisco progressives like poor people in theory, but in practice they throw them out of San Francisco. I mean, it's a complete joke. But I think that, and then we certainly have, very good arguments against this. Right now, it's still in the formative stages. I don't see this hitting the national scene anytime soon. But that said, I want to shift arguments a little bit and talk about how bad things get started. This is precisely how they get started. And the way this industry generally fights it is you'll have someone say, well, we don't need to worry about this now because it's not going anywhere. And I can tell you that right now, as of today, this isn't going to be a federal problem. But by ignoring it, you allow your opponents to build momentum. And quite frankly, this has been a huge problem within the industry. In fact, we should be addressing this right now. Today will be your opportunity to do that. The REI Policy Institute, we have a full agenda for 2016 so far. We'll be getting our new website up, I think, in a week, and we'll publish that agenda. Most of our agenda has to do with working with FHFA on very transaction-specific, issues to make transactions more profitable for investors and to open up new markets to the investor community. But the point that I'm making is the people who will tell you not to worry about this are not qualified in any manner to question my expertise on anything. Okay? I've been lobbying for this industry for more than a decade. We've helped start a national program. We've gotten federal legislation passed. I've certainly worked in the states, gotten governors to sign laws. Okay, that's all can be documented that I did. One of the problems with this industry is people who claim to have an erudition on legislative matters but really don't often get a louder voice. And then whatever lobbyist there is representing the industry has no real experience handling matters at the federal level. fact, I don't know of another lobbyist who's registered at the federal level as a lobbyist to represent this industry besides me. So the question is what to do about this issue, about the notion of activists pushing for a tax on home sales. Well, look, we don't want this to get to the point and repeat the mistakes of the past where, we do nothing, okay, and then one day we're sitting here and you're getting these panic emails from leaders in the industry who are saying, well, you need to write to the president and tell him to veto this. The fight's lost by then. You win this fight now. You win this fight by getting someone qualified who has a track record of actually winning to go in and fight it. And I think it is important to start nipping this at the bud and to get folks immediately to understand that, removing incentives to own homes is not a good idea for anybody. And we can certainly make that argument and expose these folks for what they are in the press. I went on a little rant there about San Francisco, which I'm sure is a great city, but let's get real. This is about wealth redistribution, nothing more. Because there are, in fact, the House right now, the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C., is just unanimously passed an affordable housing bill, H.R. 3700. It's going to the Senate. So there's overwhelming support for affordable housing measures. I'm going to talk a little bit about that bill in my March newsletter, along with what's going on in San Francisco as well. But the question is, what's the smartest thing you can do as an investor to address this problem? Okay? The smartest thing you can do is buy our newsletter and let us handle it. Now, other people may have some other ideas. Well, write your congressman. Well, you're not going to write your congressman on something that hasn't come up yet in Congress. Plus, you're not coming up with consistent arguments. You're not coming up with a legislative strategy. The best thing to do is to support the REI Policy Institute so we can handle this. So I wanted to alert the industry that this was out there, and it's a little bit of a test run because at the end of the day, we now know that this is out there. So in 3 or 4 years from now, as it often happens, bad legislation starts in one of these progressive cities and ends up at the federal level, but now is the chance to stop it. And if it ends up at the federal level and you didn't take any action to stop it now, you can't say you weren't told, right? So you can't say, well, how did this happen? Well, I just explained to you how it happened. You did nothing. That's how it happens. Okay, the realtors don't have this problem because they essentially tax their members for dues to fight things like this, which is a great model. But the point is, you do have an opportunity to do something. I'm sure this will be posted on Facebook as well as our YouTube channel. My partner with the REI Policy Institute, Randy Patrick, will be putting a link right above this on how to buy the newsletter. We will have our website up very soon. But again, this is some information I thought folks would want to know. There'll be more about it in my upcoming newsletter in March. And this is exactly the type of chance that when people say, hey, what can I do to make a difference? This is the opportunity to actually make a difference. You say Washington doesn't work, but my track record doesn't demonstrate that at all. I have a track record of getting Washington to work, but it's not going to work if you don't get involved at all. So now's your chance to get involved. And all you need to do is buy the newsletter to get involved and to support this effort and all the other efforts that we're doing on behalf of the investor community. With that, I thank you, and we'll do another update on our YouTube page next week. Okay? Thanks. Bye.